Yep, it's me again. They hate me, that's why they give a fuck about me at the same time. As always, I am your host, JD Miles. The MGTOWs, they love to hate. Even the ones that claim everybody loves to hate them, loves to hate MGTOW at the same time as always, which is why they keep us relevant to this day, and I'm back again. As you for tonight's topic of discussion, and yes, I do agree with the Legion of Men. All men must hear this. As well as I'm gonna break this shit down bit by bit. It seemed like the feminists are up to their old tricks, up to their same old hokey pokey song, hokey pokey dance tricks again. This time, they running across the pond to the UK, trying to pull those same retarded fuck ass stunts that failed in the US. In the hopes that, if we could convince the UK, then the UK could convince the US about their quote unquote, extremist, misogynistic terrorist bullshit. And yes, as I said before, it's nothing more than the same old hokey pokey song, hokey pokey dance. Just a different country. But before I go any further, shout out to the Legion of Men. I'll leave the link to his full video in the description box. You could go check it out. But nevertheless, let's get started. Let's get started with this dumpster fire, shall we?
Yvette Cooper, who is the Home Secretary, she is saying that extreme misogyny will be treated as terrorism for the first time under government plans to combat the radicalisation of young men online. She's ordered a review of Britain's counter-terrorism strategy to urgently address gaps in the government's stance and look at tackling violence against women and girls in the same way as Islamist and far-right extremism amid fears that current Home Office guidance is too narrow. Well, let's ask the opinion of Aisha Ali Khan. She's a human rights and women's rights campaigner. Aisha, thank you for joining me this afternoon. What do you make of this proposal from Yvette Cooper, the Home Secretary?
Hi. So we've been talking about something like this for the last, 4 or 5 years now.
That's crazy. Calls for extreme misogyny to be treated as terrorism. This is the country that's currently falling apart, the UK, where they're having knife fights, machete fights out in public. It's two-tier policing, mass migration, social upheaval, and instability. The locals are being treated like crap. The migrants that are there throwing their passports and identification over the boats as they're crossing it to Europe get preferential treatment. They are housed, they are fed, they are taken care of. Meanwhile, the locals working their minimum wage jobs can't get any of that. There's no government subsidies for them under the guise of migration. This virtue signaling that Europe is responsible for taking in the world's destitute. This is crazy to watch. If anybody's paying attention, you have to go on X to see any of this stuff. Just see the riots. Just see all the clashes with police. See people getting arrested for posting memes. In the UK, you can get arrested right now for posting memes. The UK has even said, the police commissioner said that they'll go after Americans if they post memes.
Yeah, good luck with that shit. Or did the British government must not have known that us Americans, unlike the British, we bear arms. Yes, we do. And I'm also hearing it from fellow U.S. citizens. Let the British government try to enforce their rules over here in the States. It'd be the Revolutionary War all over again. Those were their words, not mine. Let's continue.
About what the hell is going on in the UK. How insane it is for spreading misinformation or inciting hate. Extreme misogyny. Who defines what extreme means? Here we go again.
Yes, as I said, the same old hokey pokey song and dance. And keep in mind what she said earlier. They've been at this retarded fuck shit for the past 4 to 5 years. So basically, For the past 4 to 5 years, they've been trying and trying and trying and fail after fail after fail after fail. And it seemed like they still, and it seems like the women's rights and the feminists still hasn't learned from their past failures, because just like that saying goes, they are doomed to repeat themselves. They who don't learn or refuse to learn from their past mistakes are forever doomed to repeat it. But let's continue.
People in the UK, you have no rights. You're not allowed to open your mouth. Simply criticizing what's going on with the porous borders, people not being vet and checked properly, just gangs of people being let in the countries. And these aren't families. These are young, military-aged males. A vast majority of them coming over are of fighting age. All men. There are no kids. There are no women. Hardly any. That was true when the Syrian destabilization happened. Families were actually coming over. That was true. But now this latest batch of migrants are not families. They're just people taking advantage of the welfare programs in the EU.
And every time this kind of idea comes to the table and we discuss it, we get comments like the comment you just read out saying, violence against women and that kind of domestic abuse should not fall under the category of terrorism. And I think what we've definitely seen has been a massive increase in young people being.
And this is why all their stunts constantly fail. They want to make something out of nothing. Or as I constantly say, what they're trying to do is fearmonger. They're trying to incite fear in the people. But the problem with that notion is how are the women's rights and the feminists going to incite fear into people when those same exact people can see straight through them, through the feminists, through these women's rights activists. And as I stated before, that's like putting two evils in one room. You come back and watch one evil try to make themselves the lesser evil. But let's continue.
Being radicalized online, especially young men, and these men have been, they're unhappy, they can't get a relationship, and they fall under the category of incels, which stands for involuntary celibate. Basically,
so these are young men who can't get a relationship. They are incels, involuntary celibates, as you say, and they hate women as a result of this, and they fall into.
You see how they.
And once again, the question still remains. Who created the incel? Let me give you a hint. Women's rights campaigner. It wasn't a man. It was a woman. That's right. As I stated before, the very first incel was a woman. But Uncle JD, there's no such thing as female incels. Yes, they are. Nowadays, they call them femcells. Oh, but they don't want to talk about that. Why they don't want to talk about that? As well as why they don't want to talk about radicalized feminism. Why they don't want to talk about these feminists, these feminist extremist misandrists telling everybody that men need to die, male babies need to be aborted. That's not terrorism. That's not extremism. but but somehow, some way, is always something wrong with the men. And and these countries like the UK wonder why their countries are going to straight up shit. And I say that unapologetically. Come and get me.
The destabilization of a nation through mass migration and parallel societies, now they're coming after men. Do you see how they make a rule to combat something else and broadly apply it to everybody else? Extreme misogyny. By whose standards and what will be the charges? If they're terrorism charges, you're going away for a long time. Why?
If it's terrorism charges, then where's the probable cause? Who got... Okay, if they're terrorism, what kind of terrorism? Mass shooting? Bombing? What is it? Are they responsible for a mass loss in human life? Oh, no, it's not that type of terrorism. No, it's the, what these men say online hurt our feelings so much terrorism. That's how we looking at this situation. But let's continue.
Because you posted something sexist on Twitter. Holy crap.
Well, when they fall into or go there voluntarily, we can talk about in a second. But they're certainly very, very misogynistic and sometimes violently misogynistic. I wonder what
That's true. I mean, these are men who would love to have a relationship with women, and for some reason they can't, and then they end up blaming not just women, but not just a particular woman, but all women, and the rise of feminism and so on. So they feel very...
And whoop, there it is. Oh, the rise of feminism. So now we come back to this question. Why are they really doing this for? Because we know it's not about extreme misogyny, terrorism. We know that for certain. Is it about women's safety, or is it really about protecting the dignity and pride of the feminist movement? Is it really about the feminists believing that they should be the only one who has a voice on the internet? Yes, over here in the U.S., we call a strike a strike. We call a ball, and a strike a strike. And if you're out, you are out. I mean, when you actually think about it, it really does sound like this is more about protecting the pride and dignity of the feminist movement more than people's well-being, more than combating terrorism and extremism, more than the safety of women. Especially when this is coming from the same women who are no better in the same category, but they thinking that they pulling the wool over the eyes of the people. Let's continue.
Very hard done by, very angry, very upset, and those feelings are turning into basically towards violence to punish these women, to punish all women, and that's
okay. Let me challenge her on this. You say it all leads to violence. Okay, so when was the most recent violent act towards women that resulted in loss of human life? Because from all the information I've been gathering, the most recent event they always go back to is Elliot Rodger. But wait, that incident happened a decade ago. What next? The Canadian ban attack? That happened. That happened 8 years ago. No, 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 scratch that. 5 years ago. So when it all boils down to it, this is nothing more than fear mongering. This is the feminists' desperate attempt to incite fear in people. But here's excuse me. Here's where it all goes downhill and the reason why their attempts constantly fail. Everybody knows this. From the US to the UK, to France, to Germany, to Italy, to Russia, to China, to Japan, to Australia, to New Zealand, you name it. Everybody knows that these feminists are only doing it to try to suppress the voice of these male spaces. Again, these feminists believe that they're the only ones who should have a voice. They're the only ones who should influence. But at the same time, these feminists are not saints. They are just as guilty as these male spaces that they always boo-hoo, whine, cry, bitch, and moan about. Let's continue.
How many percentage of these toads actually do anything? It's mostly men letting off steam online. Please fix the economy. Why don't we talk about why it's so goddamn hard to get a job? Why it's so hard to raise a family on one income? Why a woman has to work in order for ends to be met? Why a dual income household is the standard today, and that's what it takes just to survive. Forget the kids. Why can't we afford housing? Why are groceries so expensive? Why does it cost so much for electricity? Why don't they have wages that keep up with inflation and cost of living? What is happening to the economic model we're living under where it's failing young people tremendously? They cannot even afford to go on dates. It's too expensive.
Facts. See, they can't solve these problems. And I'm being 100% honest here. They cannot solve these problems because they're so busy trying to incite fear of any of the people because they are afraid of anyone or any group of people that stands and opposed to them. Plain and simple. They more worried about this more than fixing the economy.
Too expensive at restaurants. They're hardly feeding themselves. They're living with roommates. Do you think if we solve the economic woes of young men, maybe all this other shit would disappear? This is what they won't tell you. But you know what they will do is throw you in jail for voicing your concerns, for being a little angry online, for making a sexist joke on X. Oh, God forbid you commented under somebody's post on Instagram, a funny meme, and you said something sexist, straight to jail. Terrorist. Holy shit. UK, I'm sorry. You're a shithole. I would never move to the UK with shit like this being even spoken about on mainstream media.
Me neither. But to all my MGTOWs who are out there in the UK, stand strong and hold steadfast. Because yes, I do see trials and tribulations ahead of this. And what's more, the whole world is watching this retarded fuckery in the making. Because you see, they think that pulling this stunt is gonna change men in the way these femitards want them to be, in which it ain't gonna work. And I still stand 10 toes down on that. It's not going to work. Yeah, we get it. This is their attempt to try to get men back on the plantation. This is their attempt to make men submissive to women, force men into marriage, force men to have these families, and the shit ain't gonna work. In fact, for those of y'all been paying attention for the past couple years, notice that marriages are on the decline. It's now down to a point to where men don't even want to approach women, don't even want to associate with women because of all the shit that's been happening. And what is their solution? Oh, let's lock these men up. Let's persecute them for being men. This is what this shit's really about. Basically, they want to suppress men, but here's the hypocrisy of it all. So you got the feminist movement who swears up and down that they are oppressed, are now resorting and using tactics to suppress men. Yes, let's suppress men. Even though we claim that we feminist women are oppressed ourselves. Yeah, that's definitely gonna bring men back in your arms. No, it won't. I mean, that's the equivalent of fighting hate with more hate. Fighting hatred with hatred. And what is that going to leave? More hatred. More resentment. But if they want to continue digging themselves in an even deeper hole than they've been digging for the past 4 to 5 years, let them have it. Let them have it. They will find this out in the end.
This blows my mind. Romania is 1,000 times better. The UK is not even an ounce of what it used to be. Holy fuck. Avoid the West and Western Europe like the plague. Jesus.
Something that Yvette Cooper and obviously previously we've spoken to the sort of people around this legislation as well, how to tackle this. So it's been formally, well, we hope that it's going to be formally recognised in the next couple of months, and steps are going to be taken to basically enshrine it in law.
Can I just ask you what you think radicalisation means? Because I think we know what it means, but in this context, I just want you to explain what your view of being radicalised is, how it actually works, and what the kind of thoughts would be of someone who is radicalised.
Dude, shout out to this reporter, man, because even he's asking the question. Define radicalization. Because when it comes to the feminists, their version of radicalization clearly doesn't match all the other versions of radicalization, even though the feminists themselves are radicalized. Yes, the contradictive irony of it all.
In comparison to someone who is just sexist or misogynist, just someone on the street, someone in the workplace who says and does silly, stupid things that they shouldn't do and are unacceptable in society, but it's not terrorism per se.
So if we look at the definition of radicalization under the current terror laws, the idea is that somebody is open to committing a violent act, and their mindset has been slowly but surely changed from, like you said, making harmless comments or sort of posting harmless memes and so on, to actually wanting to take physical action in terms of causing terror or causing harm to somebody. And I think that the reason why these are it's becoming more and more of an issue is because we've got people like Andrew Tate and other influencers.
There we go.
God damn. So basically, she's trying to use Andrew Tate as the end all be all. No different than how they try to use Reddit as the end all be all. And for the record, why are they still griping about Andrew Tate? And before I go any further, allow me to say this. Fuck Andrew Tate. And I mean that unapologetically. But, however, for the past 2 years, they've been boo-hoo, whining, and crying about Andrew Tate. But what we don't see? We don't see neither Andrew Tate or his brother standing trial yet. And it's now been 2 years now. That trial should have happened 2 years ago. What is the holdup? Why are they dragging their feet? In fact, neither Andrew Tate nor his brother stood trial, nor have they been convicted. In fact, people are still waiting for the trial, which never happened. But everybody's still whining and crying about Andrew Tate. What else is fucking new?
The sort of feelings of anger and rejection and frustration amongst these young men, and they're basically capitalizing on these. They're monetizing misogyny. They're monetizing these feelings of anger.
Bullshit. And for the record, the only place you can find Andrew Tate is on Twitter X. Whether he's monetized there or not, I can't say. However, Andrew Tate is completely banned off all other social media platforms minus Twitter X. So if that's the case, how is he getting monetized? Can this woman's rights campaigner answer that question? How can someone be monetized while banned off the majority of social media at the same time? And this is what happens. And this is what happens when these dumb feminists, these dumb women's rights campaigners sit there and try to use someone as the face of their bullshit ass, misogynistic extremism BS. Let's continue.
And just kind of taking advantage, in my opinion, of young men who are clearly unhappy, they're upset, turning these young men who would have just been able to speak out to their friends and so on. At some point now, they've got this massive subculture online. They can log on.
But wait a second. Hold up there, ma'am. Wasn't the feminists the same ones? And correct me if I'm wrong here. Wasn't the feminists the same ones who had 8, 9, 10, 11-year-old girls in princess costumes cussing like sailors, promoting feminism's hatred of men? And they called themselves potty mouth princesses for feminism. Oh, that's not the feminists influencing young women and young girls, their sexist ways against men, right? Oh, potty mouth princesses isn't the making of feminism. No, seriously, look it up. Look that shit up, fellas. Yeah, feminists had 10-year-old girls in princess costumes cursing while promoting sexist, misandrous remarks towards men. But these are the same feminists whining and crying about, oh, these male spaces are influencing young men and young boys. But the feminists are no different in that same category, no better in that same category. Let's continue.
It's telling men to get up off your ass, go brush your teeth, go clean yourself, go work out, go read books, start grinding. Your emotions, learn to control them. Channel anger, channel rage, channel that depression, channel that anxiety, that doubt into something positive. Go to the gym, get a better body, start a business, bust your ass, grind every day, no matter if you don't feel like it, because no one's coming to save you. This is extreme misogyny. Stop being a fucking loser jacking off, watching porn all day. Stop being a fucking loser playing video games for 8 hours a day. Get up off your ass and make something of yourself. This is extreme misogyny. Telling you to chase your goals, to be ambitious, to forget about women for a minute. Make yourself into a man first. Then you can enjoy the fruits of your labor. Women will then magnetize to you. Telling men basics like this is now extreme misogyny. We're monetizing on angry men. Wow. How mind-blowing that we live in such a weak fucking society. That the UK is full of such degenerates. That's simply telling men to be the best that they could possibly be. To live up to their potential.
And what's more, they're the ones who created that society. They're the ones who created the game pieces on the board. And this goes back full circle. They created the Frankenstein monster. Now they regret making it, so now they want to kill it off. This is all what it boils down to. They created this shitstorm. Now they're crying about the shitstorm they created. And what's more, what they trying to do, guess what's going to happen? Now these men gonna feel like, they're gonna lock me up because I'm a man. They're gonna persecute me because I'm a man. What is that in their mind? What is that gonna do to them? Make them change? Or force them away? In fact, here's another prediction. This is going to turn out no different than the war on drugs. This is going to be no different than racism that everybody claims doesn't exist anymore. But we all know that is bullshit. How about the prohibition? Remember, alcohol was illegal at one point. They think this is going to go away. No, it won't. This is the reason why I constantly say this quote, and I quote, they think they see in the dark, but the dark sees right into them. And for those of y'all who don't know what that saying means is this. They think that by having these blind optimism, they let their blind optimism get to a point to where they believe that by doing this, it's going to end like this, it's going to be like that, and everything's going to go back to normal. However, they looking in the dark. And everybody knows when you're in the dark, you can't even see your hand in front of you. So moreover, it seemed like the dark is looking into these people rather than them capable of seeing in the dark. But enough of me babbling. Let's continue on.
To test their bodies and see what they're capable of, expand their minds and learn new concepts. It's extreme misogyny. But if we were telling you to cut your dick off, if we were telling you to start painting your nails, to be more effeminate, to wear dresses and shit, and to like being a little feminine crybaby, and all the things they're trying to turn men into, this message would be getting pushed to the top. That's being progressive. That's having an open mind. You're so tolerant and accepting. But the opposite message is no, it's hate. The opposite message is extreme misogyny, showing you your value, why you shouldn't simp, why you're not just a walking wallet, what you can do to be more attractive in the eyes of women. That's extreme misogyny. Say that men and women are different. That's extreme.
And the crazy part is, they got all these male feminists kissing their ass down with the cause, but get this. Despite the fact that he got these male feminist simps kissing their ass, even the feminists don't want those men. The vast majority of feminists want those same men they boo-hoo, whine, and cry about. They want the bad boy. So basically, they asking for something they don't want. I mean, look at all these male feminists fighting for their cause, but yet don't get anything in return. You even got some who pretends to be male feminists in a desperate attempt to try to get in bed with them, which goes against their cause. How sad and pathetic. Let's continue.
Extreme misogyny. It will be one day they're going to categorize it. You can't say men and women are different. We're all the same. Like we're fucking robots. This shit is wild. Wow. Enjoy the ride, boys. You guys in the UK, you're leading the pack. Wow.
And talk to these other men, other people that they may never have met in real life, and they may never meet, and they can actually share horrible fantasies, and it's actually normalizing those types of attitudes towards women. And then,
okay, that's hearsay. No, ma'am, that's hearsay. Unless you have the evidence, the stats and statistics to back up what you say, then all that shit you saying is just words coming straight out your mouth. It's easy for people to say, oh, it happened like this, oh, it happened like that. But unless you show the stats, then they're just words that you talk. Let's continue.
And obviously, at some point, a young person, for them, it might not be enough. So they want to take something, steps in real life, and they want to actually live out some of these horrible fantasies. And some of the messages I've read, and by the way, Peter, sorry, I should have also added, I'm actually a class.
And where are these messages at? Because the only thing we see is your mouth clocking 100 miles an hour, ma'am. You claim that these messages exist, but you ain't showing receipts. And they wonder why nobody's taking them seriously on this matter. Let's continue.
Classroom teacher as well.
Oh, I didn't know that. Okay.
Young disadvantaged and disenfranchised young men for the last 4 years, and I have actually had conversations face to face with these young people, and it's not just young boys feeling unhappy about say the economy, for example, the fact that there's no jobs, there's no sort of possibilities for them when they leave school, the chances of them
again more hearsay. It's easy for her to go on camera and say that these boys said this, that, and the third. But where are those boys at? To say those exact same words out of their mouths? But then again, chances are there's a pretty good chance that, keep in mind, because these boys are still kids, and of course an adult can have a kid rehearse this shit. So again, where where's all this shit coming from? You, ma'am? Let's continue.
Them getting good GCSEs are very low as well. So these are all issues that combine together.
So you're actually, let me just get into that a little bit, Aisha, because of course the extreme end of this is the terrorism and what you're saying should be the law. But actually you're at the sort of the original bit of it, the start. I said, well, hopefully not the start, but hopefully you're curbing it. But there are many young men you're dealing with on a daily basis who are perhaps at risk of this, or at risk of these sorts of being not necessarily radicalized, but certainly influenced.
And yes, I sitting back watching this, I could tell that the reporter ain't buying this bullshit. And which is no surprise to me at all that he's hitting her with those hard questions. Come on now, let's continue.
Influenced by these kinds of videos.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, when you think about it, these young men are being young boys. Sorry, let's just start with. They're being exposed to all types of very casual misogyny. They're playing games and characters that are
no different than the young girls out there who's being taught misandry, be sexist, and hate men by you feminists. This ain't gonna be no one-sided bullshit here. It ain't gonna be, oh, it's okay when feminists do it to young girls. Oh, but it's wrong for these male spaces to do this shit to young boys. Again, this was the monster you feminists created. And because you created this monster and now you don't like this monster, now y'all want to kill it all. This is what it all boils down to.
Female that are being run over, they're being beaten up, they're being stamped upon, and then they see it.
Okay, where's the evidence of all of this? Where's the news reports of all this? The news reports, video footage, the victim's testimony. Where's all this shit at that she claims is happening? Because once again, all we hear is just her mouth. And she actually expects for people to believe all this stuff is happening because she's saying it, but don't show nothing at all to prove this is actually happening. Fuck out of here.
GTA 5 is going to be illegal soon because if you run over a female in a game or a bot, if you run over a bot, dude, walking on the sidewalk, oh god, extreme misogyny. Look, this is what he wants to do in real life.
Oh, you just hit a woman in that video game. You're a misogynist. Ooh, huh.
Boys that played Call of Duty in the past couple years, goddamn, we just got the future soldiers of America right there because they're playing Call of Duty and they want to shoot guns. Oh my god, they're gonna be mass killers. What the fuck? This is crazy. These people are so disconnected from the real world. Blows me away. I didn't think we would get here this fast.
You think? They are completely out of touch with reality. I mean, straight up, they're out of touch, and us men are out of time.
Seriously.
In their home lives, to see it with amongst their friends,
Holy
to see
crap.
in potential relationships that are playing out in front of them. And there's nobody to challenge these types of ideas. And that's something that I feel really strongly about as a teacher.
No one to challenge these ideas? And this is coming from the same group of women that don't want nobody to challenge theirs? Ain't nothing the feminists, these women's rights activists can't say about these male spaces that they do themselves. They just believe that they're the only ones that can do all this bullshit, while the men need to be locked up for the same thing that they do. Do as they say, not as they do. Let's continue.
As soon as there's some kind of comment that's being made, oh, we don't want to pick up our plates because it's not our job, it's a girl's job. These are the types of comments that it starts from.
Again, ma'am, stop with the goddamn hearsay. Unless you show those comments, then you really don't have an argument. Oh, they say pick up the place. They say they don't want to pick up the place. That's a woman's job. That's a woman's job. Let's see the comments, not hear your mouth.
Right. And you know, I speak to I teach young girls as well, and the kind of comments that they have to put up with, comments about their bodies, comments about their looks, comments about whether...
Again, hearsay. I mean, straight up, if this was an actual court, she'd be getting so many objections. And yes, for those of y'all who don't know, hearsay is objectable in court. She's going by what these young girls is telling her, but we don't hear it from these young girls themselves. That's the equivalent of me saying that, oh, my neighbor down the street said that somebody broke into my house. But I wasn't there when someone broke into my house. Nor nothing's broken, no windows was broken, no forced entry, nothing stolen. So do I believe what another person said happened, or am I going to see for myself? Okay then, let's continue.
Somebody would want to sleep with them. And these are teenage girls, then 12, 13, 14, and they don't have the tools or the skill set to...
And once again, she don't show no evidence of that. No, this is what you claim, ma'am. And if it's actually happened to them, it's real easy for them to show. It's real easy for you to show these texts, these interactions. But no, she doesn't want to do that. She wants to talk everything out as if everyone's going to believe everything that I say because I'm sitting here on camera on a news media outlet saying it. But let's continue.
To basically stand up for themselves. They are effectively bullied by these young boys who are...
Women bully women worse than any other man could ever.
Facts. See, they try to make it seem like, oh, these boys are bullying these girls. But in reality, these girls bully these girls more than anybody. And oftentimes, the boys mimic this because they see the girls do it. And oftentimes, if the girls do it, they will partake. So she clearly doesn't have an argument there. Let's continue.
The women are making those passing comments to other women. The girls are bullying the girls. The girls are mean to other girls. The girls are seeing what social media is telling them how they should look like, the surgeries they need to get, the boob jobs, the Brazilian butt lifts, the nose jobs, all the makeup, all that shit. These little girls are seeing other women and trying to emulate them. And if they fall short, they're made to feel insecure. And they pick on each other so fucking mean. Anybody knows, they'll tell you teenage girls are the worst. They're worse to each other than a boy ever would. Boys are still fucking nervous to talk to a girl at that age. Damn, this shit is crazy, dude. They're pinning everything on men and boys. Always. It's always your fault.
Yep, it's always the men's fault. It's always the men's fault because these women are such saints. These women are angels. These women could do no wrong. These women are without sin. How dare you cast the first stone?
similar in ages as well.
Wow.
And I think then that snowballs. And obviously going back to my previous point, when you log online and you have other people that are writing similar things and sharing similar views, it's normalized, it's internalized, and it's really difficult to then, as a young adult, after having all these kinds of views.
And once again, she doesn't show anything. Once again, she thinks her mouth is convincing enough.
Is it all coming? I mean, you're saying young people, or is it all? And
And yes, I'm gonna shut up. I've been paying attention to this news reporter, and as I said before, he don't believe this shit.
About the very radical side of it as well. Is it all coming from men? It's all coming from young men, or are there some young women or older women who are doing this as well? Or I mean, what sort of proportion would you say?
I think
news reporter, that is a good question. Is it only just the men? Is it only just the men doing this? Or are the women doing this too? Let's hear her answer.
I've seen is that obviously these are young men that are basically expressing themselves, but they're helped by other young women and other women as well. So if they have a very patriarchal...
Oh, so what you're saying now? What you're saying now? Women can be misogynistic? That completely destroys y'all whole entire cause. Jesus fucking Christ.
Very traditional or conservative.
There it is. I was thinking, is it traditional women? Are traditional women going to be next that are espousing conservative ideals, like being a stay-at-home mother, like having big families, a lot of babies, like serving your husband? I knew these women are supporting misogynist young men. I fucking knew that they would go there.
Same here. So if women are also partaking on this, can these dumb feminists can blame all the men for it if the women are also getting involved? Okay then. And this is why all their attempts stay failing miserably.
That's crazy.
Upbringing, they will have seen that type of attitude, the types of attitudes where women are there to serve the men, women are there to make the men happy and to make sure they're looked after. And it's a woman's job, whereas men, effectively, boys as well, can do what they want.
Man, I'm getting sick and tired of hearing her goddamn voice, man. That's for sure.
Fine. And I speak as a Pakistani Muslim woman.
I'm trying to get to the good part.
Very patriarchal. So I have seen this going on amongst my own family members, amongst the
how have you challenged it in your own community, or Aisha, what have you tried to do?
Well, number one, I was very lucky that I was able to get an education because so many of my
and of course, the next thing she's gonna do is paint all countries around the world as being part of her country, which is Pakistan. And yes, I know just about everything about the Middle East. But the crazy part here is, just because she came from Pakistan, she thinks no matter where she go, those Pakistani laws are still in place. Well, ma'am, look at you right now. One thing I clearly don't see is a hijab. Oh, you're in a country where you don't have to wear the hijab anymore. And if that's the case, then that right there completely debunks the entire notion that, no matter what country you go, it's going to be the same as the country you came from. Yeah, let's dead that right there.
Friends, people sort of around my age, when I talk to people and I say, well, most of my friends got married at 15 and 16, and then they became housewives. They weren't even allowed to go and finish their GCSEs and get qualified.
Yes, that happens in Pakistan. You know what that doesn't happen in? The UK. You know what that doesn't happen in? The US. You want to know what other places that don't happen in? South Africa, Australia. And I could go on and on naming countries where it's illegal to have any relationship with a minor under the age of 18. Then again, scratch that. Let's make it 21. Let's make it 21 for good measure.
Qualifications and able to support themselves.
Yeah, and your reality and your Pakistani culture is not the reality for most women in the West. We don't marry them at 15 and tell them they're not allowed to go get their education.
And that was from growing up in the 90s in the UK. And then obviously I've gone to university. I was one of the first people female to drive, amongst my community. And these are the little things that...
Then why are you complaining if you're getting what you want? Furthermore, why are you trying to inject Palestinian laws onto other countries? And this is the part where everybody is just completely wondering, where the hell is she going with all this?
That I look back on it and I think, gosh, we have come a massive way from back at, those years.
Your people.
Bullshit, ma'am. Your people came a long way. And once again, she's trying to put all her eggs in one basket by trying to make it seem like, oh, we came a long way since Pakistan. No, not all of us are from Pakistan, ma'am. Yeah, you're from Pakistan. People you may know are from Pakistan, but don't try to paint that broad brush on everybody as if we all came from the same country. Please.
In some ways, not so much. And that still makes me very upset, which is why I speak out about it a lot. And I try to show women that are empowered, that have an education, that have good jobs, that are able to make their own decisions. We shouldn't be afraid of these women. We shouldn't be trying to pull them down or try to criticize them or see them as an anomaly, because we're not. And obviously,
have you had pushback from within your own community?
I think I've been very lucky because
Wow, man. All right, I've had enough of this bullshit. Being mad.
Straight up, man. Anymore. Shoot, if you started listening to her for the next few more minutes, you'd be losing brain cells. But here's the best part. Let's get to the comments.
And it's considered terrorism now. So glad to be living in Saudi Arabia. Once again, let's not tackle the cause of young men feeling ostracized, but instead let's punish them for society's failures. And that is the perfect way to put it. Succinctly put, man. Jesus Christ. Fix your own community before you attack English. If you want women's rights, worry about that one thing and not a guy that lives in Romania. And look, for the Romanian thing, I'm sorry for you UK bros, but if you're within the EU...
And as we all could clearly see, the people are speaking and the people have spoken. And keep in mind, these are the people they're trying to reach. And even they are showing their disdain for these feminists' desperate attempts to try to silence, censor, and persecute men. And once again, they wonder why all their attempts are failing. They think they see in the dark, but the dark sees right through them.
You and you got a good head on your shoulders and you want a nice traditional life. I just did a video today. Look at it. It's all in Bucharest. I'm walking around, raw footage. I'm not even talking.
Straight up. But nevertheless, I'm going to stop this right here. I say what I have to say. If y'all want to watch the Legions of Men video in its full entirety, I'll leave the link into the description box. Go check it out. Tell them JD Miles sent you. But as far as I'm concerned, I said what I had to say. I'm done with this delusional women's rights feminist speaker, and I'm out this bitch. Later.